when we get into that. I thought it was better than Punisher Season 1. Now, I will say this. I don't like the character of Punisher just as a whole. In the comic book world, he's not one of my favorite characters, so that already has it against him when it comes to that for me. Just I don't particularly enjoy his character.
Yeah.
But I would give this like a 7 out of 10, and I think it's pretty well tied. I'm actually rewatching Daredevil, and I'm halfway through Season 1 right now, and I think it's about tied there with me. So that would make it 3rd/4th best. So I'm only like one spot ahead of you.
Okay, yeah.
That's fair. In the long run.
And I'm not saying that David's going to go there, but I'm presuming.
I don't actually know where you rank it. I know you liked it, but I don't know where you ranked it. So I'm at a 7 out of 10. So again, not that much higher than you.
Like a 6.5.
Drucker?
Among the Netflix shows, it's probably just under Punisher Season 1. So I'm going to say.
So you like Season 1 more as well?
I like Season 1 because I felt each episode was more engaging than this.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's in top 5 because I thought all the other Netflix shows were either mediocre or just crap.
If you count the 3 Daredevil seasons and the 2 Punisher seasons, that is your top 5.
That's number 5, yeah.
I'm giving
there.
Season 2 a 7 out of 10, I think.
7
I might be able to be convinced to like a 7.5. I don't know if I could go to 8. What hurt it for me was I felt... It wasn't that I felt like it was too long. It felt like some of the plot lines could have been a little more developed earlier on, like in the middle episodes. In like episodes 6 through like 9, I felt like those episodes could have developed a little more of the plot.
That's right where
Because I felt like come episode 13, you still had 2 plot lines
that needed to be tied up.
And
that didn't intersect.
And here's the
way.
thing: I coming into these shows, I expect I had to be thinking, I had to be paying attention, and I'm waiting for that moment where both these storylines collide into one. Like in episode 10 or 11 or whatever.
And of course, we're talking about the storylines with
Russo
John Pilgrim and with Pilgrim.
John Pilgrim, yep. And like Daredevil, like all their seasons, they have multiple plot lines, but there comes a point where suddenly you realize, oh my gosh, this was all connected.
An apex at some point in time.
And at the very beginning, like when they introduced Pilgrim's character, I'm like, I don't know who that guy is. I'm curious about him, and he was interesting whenever he was on screen.
I didn't know his name was Pilgrim until I read a description on one of the episodes before it came up, and I was like, what?
Yeah. I liked when he was on screen, but I was still confused because I knew Jigsaw was a villain, and I'm like, how does this connect? How does this connect to New York and to Russo and all this? Because it seems so disconnected. How does Frank Castle connect to all this?
And they never actually connected it.
Right.
In the storylines.
For me, I think that held down the season for me in terms of my rating.
Here's why, because I think you agree a lot with what Drucker said there.
Yeah.
Here's why it ranks higher than Season 1 for me. And it has everything to do with the character of Amy and her relationship with Frank. So in Season 1, right, the whole season is centered around the death of his children and his wife and this and that, which is an integral part of Punisher's storyline. It is why Punisher is why he's Punisher.
Yeah.
But you see, even in Episode 1, you see this relationship start just a tiny bit. And I love that it starts off with he's using her as bait to try to get them because they shot the girl that he's kind of become enamored with, which is, by the by, I think we all would see this. As soon as he started talking to her at the bar, I was like, she's either going to die or be seriously injured. Something bad's going to happen to this girl. And of course it does.
Yeah.
But especially when she's like, yeah, I have a kid. And I'm like, you just signed your own death warrant right there, honey. No, but I loved their relationship because it culminates at the very end of episode 13, right? Where it's Pilgrim versus him, and he's just like, you see that girl you've got the gun pointed at? I'd do anything for her, so why don't you point the gun at me? Why don't you point the gun at me? And this whole season you're seeing he's trying to be a father without trying to be a father. He's treating her, even when she tries to take the gun from him in the not the shack, the trailer sort of thing, and he's like, boom, that could have been your head, boom, that could have been your head, and you know
trying to teach her a lesson.
He's trying to teach her. It's not a good way, but he's doing it the only way he knows how. Right. And then I love the scene later on when she's captured and she does get the gun away from the guy and she shoots him like in the gut and she's like, I killed him, and the guy's not dead yet, and Punisher's like, no, and he just turns and shoots him in the head. He's like, I shot him. I'm like, he's doing the best that he knows how to be a father to this girl, and I just loved that dynamic far more than I loved anything.
I like that he didn't want her to feel the guilt of killing the person.
I loved that dynamic between them far more than I loved anything in Season 1 of Punisher, and that is why it moves ahead of Punisher Season 1 for me. And I disagreed with, did the middle episodes get, quote, slow, and the idea that there wasn't a ton of action and stuff like that? Yes. But I liked I liked the psychological nature of the show, because it was far more, I thought, than season 1. Season 1 was a lot more Rudy Tooty, aim and shooty, while season 2 I thought was a lot more intellectual. Russo actually doesn't remember. He literally doesn't remember, which I didn't buy that for the first few episodes, but you see it throughout that he doesn't remember. And then, so you've got that. I'll tell you the couple things that I didn't like. One, I didn't like the random heel turn of the psychiatrist. She's just like okay, so
that was so dumb
so
for
she
me.
falls in love with him.
Yeah.
That I understand.
Yeah.
And not turning him in, I understand.
And not to say that it's a crux in most comic book,
but it is.
storylines.
But the part that
like,
I went, what?
Yeah.
Was when she helped him figure out how to defeat Frank and kill basically those 2 girls. And I went, nowhere in her story arc do we see her becoming this. I felt like they were trying to do with her what they did with Vanessa in Daredevil, where Vanessa is like, with Vanessa and Kingpin, where Vanessa enables, but does not, like, she's not really a part of what he does, but she doesn't hold it back against him. I felt like they were trying to go with that here, and I was like, what? That didn't make any sense. And then the other thing I didn't like is that you just have 2 separate storylines that the only intersecting thing, and I have one other thing I didn't like. The only intersecting thing was Frank. That's the only intersecting thing between those 2 storylines. Oh. But between that, they just stay separate. And then the third thing I didn't like about the season was the character of Kurt he betrays Frank like 18 times. He just leaves. He's just like, I can't do this anymore. And then Frank's like, hey, I need you to come do this. And he's like, sure. Oh, wait, I can't do this anymore. And it was like every episode this happened. And I was like, dear God, can we stop this? My favorite episode was the police station episode where they've been arrested. Frank and that was the best one. I felt that one had the most tension, and I thought that one was the best. So those are my problems that I have with it, and I think you guys would have those problems with it too. Yeah,
I have like 1 or 2 more problems with the series as a whole. That's why it's number 5 for me.
Yeah,
I didn't like the fact that Karen Page was only in 1 episode and was in the stupidest role possible for her to be in that episode, because she should have never even been in it.
See, I agree that she never should have been in it. I know why they used her, and why they used her makes sense.
I get it, and I understand. But they could have written it where they... And I'm not saying that I don't like Deborah Ann Wall. She's a fantastic actress.
The only reason I want to go see Escape Room.
Love her. The part that she played in Series 2 was so dumb for me. I didn't like the way she was introduced. She was just like, oh, well, Frank's in the hospital. I'm going to go see him. All right, and then I'm going to get past 2 security members, but it
would very easily make sense that she gets past them if she's their lawyer, if she's his lawyer, which she is part of, which also plays into the fact that everyone thought they were getting another season of Daredevil, because she's like, I'm part of this law firm. Now, of course, they don't know that she's there, but it makes sense that she would get past.
But they seem idiotic, like police people to me, because even a dumb girl Amy got past with the computer screen
or anything.
She's like, oh, look at me.
See, I don't like, and I told Drucker, Drucker and I talked about this at one point. I don't like the only overarching character that I liked between the episodes, not like, even by overarching I mean from other shows coming in. Yeah. The only one I actually liked in any way, shape, or form was Claire. I didn't like it when Misty Knight... Right. Yeah. I didn't like it when Misty Knight was the one crossing around. Like, you don't need to do this. I know why you're doing this, but you do not need to. I understand that they're all in New York at the same time. I understand that. You don't need to do this to get it. And so I understand. But if they were going to use it, Karen was the only character you could use.
And I get it. I get that she was the character that linked... Nelson Murdoch and Murdoch to the Punisher.
Right.
But at that point in time, it was just like, oh, well, I'm going to go visit him in the hospital. He's got to be in trouble.
See, I disagree. And I think her character actually made sense to go visit, given what just happened, that he thought he shot people. And I think the moment she hears that Frank was arrested... I think that's what she would do because of her relationship.
I do agree with that.
That for me, it made sense because I'm like, she hears Frank Castle's arrested and in the hospital. It just made sense to me that she would be the one to go visit him and like it made sense that she would be the one to help him in this situation.
Yeah.
Of all the characters, like Madonna.
All right. Well, regardless.
I was going to say Madonna.
Yeah,
Madonna was not in this season. It would have been better.
Did you like the Madonna character in this one?
I know you did not. I did.
Oh,
I loved her. I
her.
won't say I loved her, but I
Hated her.
liked her. I liked her more this season than season 1.
I thought she played like a lifeless zombie.
Here's the thing that I told Drucker about season 1 and why it ranks lower than season 2 for me as well. I accidentally started watching season 1 instead of season 2, and it took me 1.5 episodes to realize I was watching season 1. It was so forgettable for me that it wasn't until halfway through episode 2 that I went, wait a second.
I've seen this before.
I've seen this before. and that is why season 2 automatically ranks higher for me, because I went, literally season 1 I forgot happened.
Yeah. Now the second thing for me was the Jigsaw character. Not to say that they should have gone with a separate villain.
Huh? Why? Who was
Russo?
Russo.
Oh, that was his name?
Jigsaw.
They only ever referred to him as Russo.
No,
They called him Jigsaw once.
Yeah, they called him Jigsaw.
And that's
once.
another thing. I don't know enough of the Punisher lore to recognize that as Jigsaw.
That's fine.
And
I mean, that's the problem too.
They also changed his character from the face being the Jigsaw to his mind being the Jigsaw, which I liked.
Oh, okay.
They changed.
I think
Okay.
they should have stuck with the comic book and really messed.
That's
him up.
why they're talking
Because he
about
was-
the puzzle pieces.
The
Yeah.
Jigsaw.
See, things make more sense
Yeah.
now.
See, in the show, if you guys do happen to watch
Which you
episode
should.
2, or season 2, I should say, they
Watch
give him
episode 2.
like 3 small cuts on his face.
But that's because
and then
he
they
didn't
say,
want to be more. That the actor didn't want to be in makeup. And so that's why they did that.
And they would have
Yeah,
kind of
but
put a ton of
that's
makeup on him
ridiculous.
for
I
every
agree, but
Yeah.
that's why. Because he didn't want to go through
episode. It would have been a pain for that many episodes to have to do that.
He has a scar. Like, he didn't even need to wear the mask in the hospital because
Yeah.
he literally has a scar in each cheek, on his chin, and on his head,
Yeah.
on his forehead. And you're like,
and
But-
even if they
but
didn't do
I
that,
also
they could have
liked-
done a mask.
I also liked when later in the season they explained the mask, that's how he feels his mind is like. And I wish he kept wearing that because I like the mask.
I agree. I like the mask. I like the fact that that the psychiatrist goes, make the mask how
What you want.
Make it
Yeah.
how you
and it's
feel.
how he thinks now. Everything's all messed
everything's
up.
jumbled up. Everything's all.
Right.
But the mask for me wasn't jumbled up enough, and it didn't make the character.
I had
seem
no
like
idea it was Jigsaw. I wouldn't have known that name anyway. So
my biggest knock, and I agree that I like that it was more psychological. There was more thinking and whatever.
Yeah.
But my issue wasn't with that. My issue was that, especially with Russo's character, his character didn't change much as the
it
season
did
went
get
on.
annoying.
Like, the first time when he gets his group of guys and he's talking, I didn't mind it. But he did it like 3 other times.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
getting... I feel like all that screen time for him, for just to talk, could have been used to help connect these plots a little more. And I feel like it's a problem when episode 13 comes, and you still have 2 open storylines, and I have no idea how you're going to resolve both of them.
Yeah.
Like, one thing Daredevil Season 3 did well is...
Multiple storylines were all
and they
fed
all
together.
connected to one thing, and that way when episode 13 ended and Kingpin was arrested, everything resolved.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't feel like, oh my gosh, they had 10 minutes left and they still have to figure out this. Because that's what happened. They stopped Jigsaw.
It was a really confusing double storyline.
Right.
No
It was.
connector
That wasn't
except
needed.
no connector except for the
Even-
Punisher himself.
I felt you
But-
really could have done just, and I didn't want the Jigsaw one. I would have rather them just focused on the Pilgrim
I would have loved...
aspect of it and just gone with that
See, when
storyline.
I was watching the first few episodes, I was getting like a Logan vibe to it. Like the
Yeah.
father-daughter relationship. They're on the run from Pilgrim and his goons.
Yep.
And I'm like, this is really interesting that they're on the run here. And I'm interested to see how this plays out. But that kind of just ends with the police station and doesn't continue again.
Until the end of the season.
Right. And then there's even like 2 episodes, like in 5, 6, where Pilgrim doesn't even show up. And you forget.
Right, you kind of forget he's there.
For a second, I'm thinking, did they even arrest him? Did they kill him? Like, whatever. Because I'm like, they never showed what happened to him. And then they show him again. I'm like, I knew he was still alive, but they just didn't show
He went
him.
home.
I feel like Pilgrim should have known that he was getting played like an all-day sucker too.
I think he did.
Oh, he knew.
He knew, but I think he recognizes. I think he loves his wife. Can you go let Maddie in?
Sure.
She just texted me and said she's here. Thank you. I think that he does know, but he recognizes the only way he's ever going to get help for his wife is this.
And I get the monetary value. I get the monetary scheme that he's, these older people or the people from the church